If your tracks are sounding mid, it's most likely because the sounds you chose aren't the right ones. Even for myself, I would always search for answers on how to choose the right sounds for my track, but no one ever actually had good and practical methods. I heard a lot of,
it will naturally improve itself over time.
But if you're anything like me, you want to make jaw-dropping music and you want to make it 3 years ago. With such an abundance of sound choices available these days, you're going to need some tools to help you choose the right ones. But don't worry, I've got you. Here are the 5 best ways I've come up with for you to always choose the right sounds in your tracks. Let's go. Okay, so number 1 is create custom racks. Now, Ableton Live has racks, but it doesn't matter what DAW you're using because you can always use a folder. As long as you've curated this folder or rack yourself, it doesn't matter. All these sounds in these racks need to be curated from your own taste or organized by certain vibes that you know you want whenever you're producing. Don't try to do this while you're making a new track. Set some time aside from your production session to get this work done. It might take a while and it might be a pain in the ass, but it's gonna save you a lot of time in the future. One method that worked for me when I was doing this is I set up a whole bunch of MIDI clips and literally went through almost every single sound in Ableton Live and checked off the ones that were my favorites. Now I've started to put these favorite sounds into like future-based synths, hip-hop drum kits, house drum kits, video game type sounds, anything that you can imagine. Now, whenever you're producing music, you're always going to end up having the right sound because all of these sounds were chosen by you. And whenever a sound that you want comes to your mind, you know exactly where to find it. Let me know in the comment section below if you want me to do an in-depth video on how I make my racks. Tip 2 for choosing the right sound: make your own sounds. There are a ridiculous amount of ways you can do this. Record some MIDI into your DAW and then start with a new synthesizer patch. Find a synthesizer patch you already like and flip that. Find a loop you already like and flip that. Or sample chunks of sounds from tracks that already exist. Don't worry, no one's gonna know by the time you're finished with it. Some people like to record their sounds from scratch themselves, but for me, I like to stay in the box just because it's quicker. The way I see it is somebody has already spent their time recording quality samples, so I might as well spend my time doing something else. During the process, you'll learn what you like about the little details within each sound. And then overall, you'll learn the types of sounds that you actually do like and want to use yourself. For example, after I went through nearly every sound and choosing my favorites, it turns out I love a lot of sounds that are made from using FM synthesis compared to analog synthesis. I think FM synthesis gives me a wider range of sounds that aren't really common, and I love how distorted and metallic they can be. All the sounds you end up making will be the right sounds because you've made them all yourself and you've made them to your own taste. And as a bonus, no one else is going to have this exact sound that you've made. Tip number 3 for always choosing the right sounds. Now this is a big one. For some reason, tip number 3 in my videos always seems to be a heavy hitter, but here we go. Steal from your favorite songs. I don't actually mean take the song and start sampling the sounds exactly from it, although you can do that if you want. What I mean is to try and name and describe the sounds inside your favorite songs. If you can't describe the sound, it's going to be very difficult to find it while you're making music. There's been so many times that I've just grabbed a notebook and replayed my favorite track over and over, trying to describe every single sound I can hear in it. The sounds started to become less mysterious and I had a good idea of how they were kind of made and where I could find them myself inside my software. By doing this, you'll start to build up a good library of sounds that you like because you heard them in your favorite songs. And those sounds are going to be the right ones because these are the ones you like. Next, we have number 4. Now, if you really want to be able to choose the right sounds for your music, you need to learn more about sounds. You need to start thinking, is the sound you're looking for electronic or acoustic? Is it modern or is it retro? Is it short or is it long? There's way more types of sounds than that, but if you can't describe it, you can't find it. Start learning the history and culture behind different sounds. This will let you know the kind of ideas, emotions, and cultural references you want to bring to your own music. Every sound has its own method behind how it was made, so it's easier to choose that synthesizer, that sample, or that effect if you know why it sounds the way it does. If the sound you're looking for is supposed to be up front and in the lead, make sure it's bold and attention grabbing. Don't send something like a harp to do a lead synth's job. If you're looking for a kick drum, ask yourself, is it punchy, is it round, or is it muted? Like for me personally, now I can hear the difference between a kick drum that comes from an 808 drum machine and one that comes from a 909 drum machine. And because of that, I can tell if any other kick is based off of one of these two different sounds. Tip number 5 for always choosing the right sound. Try and choose the sound based on its mood. Think about what emotion you want to bring to the track next. Now, I can't tell you exactly which sounds to choose because everyone's making different music and everyone has different tastes. But instead of thinking of drums, bass, or synth or guitar, think about if it needs more aggression or if it needs more sadness. You'll have a better chance at getting the right sound because you're choosing it based on the music and the song that you're making in that moment. Instead of searching through your sounds and thinking, what does a good sound like? You're thinking, what kind of sound does the music need right now? If you're thinking of adding aggression, you know you can go for a heavily distorted electric guitar, or you can go for the most dirtiest distorted synth bass. If we're talking sadness, some easy choices would be an acoustic piano or some strings like a violin. Now, every sound you add after the next should start to make sense because you were thinking about the current vibe when you asked yourself, what sound do I want next? Now, one thing new producers don't understand is that if your loop doesn't sound amazing, your track will not sound amazing. So watch this video here for the 5 things you must learn if you want to produce better loops.